Finding a real estate agent to sell your home can be a little difficult and nerve-wracking, especially if you don't have a referral or an agent that you have worked with in the past. But I want to give you 10 questions that you can give an agent in interviewing them for the chance to sell your home. There are tons of questions that you can ask, and a lot of these questions are good general questions to ask, but there might be some questions that aren't just important to you. I would say, all things aside, even if these 10 questions don't totally make sense, take some time to write 5 to 10 questions of things that matter to you most. Oftentimes, people will just interview one agent and go with that agent, but I think that's a big mistake because not knowing how an agent's going to effectively market your home or how they're going to help you get to the finish line is very difficult. A recent poll that Howard Hanna did found that a vast majority of home sellers found that agents were in a sea of sameness. So we're all kind of doing the same things, but I actually really don't think that's the case. Every agent is slightly different. While we do post things on the MLS between each other, how one effectively markets and takes pictures of your house or really tries to prop your house in front of the most eyes varies completely across all the different agents. So the first question that's really good to ask is if they are doing this full time or not. That might not be important to you, but having a full-time agent who does this business as their full-time job at least shows you that they are competent enough to make this their only source of income. Real estate agents work on a commission-only structure, so if you are working with an agent who does this full-time and this is all of their energy and focus, you know you're going to get a really strong, competent professional. It's not to say that agent who's working part-time or trying to make a break into the business, that doesn't mean that they are not as adequate or they're not as professional. It just gives you a good base of how knowledgeable and how much time and emphasis they focus on their own business. Second question. How many homes have you sold in this specific area? This is a powerful question that will really unveil to you how often they're focusing on your neighborhood. If you are interviewing an agent and they say, well, I've never sold one in this area, you want to do a little bit more due diligence and make sure that they understand the comparables that they're bringing to the table. Where an agent who has sold multiple times in your neighborhood probably has a really good understanding of the ins and outs of your neighborhood. General experience is okay, but hyper-local experience is elite. Now, question number 3 might be very dictative on what kind of market your area is in. In Syracuse, we are in a very seller-driven market, meaning that houses get a lot of offers on them, and more times than not, they end up selling over list price, just depending on the house, if it's turnkey or if it needs any work or not. But question number 3 is good to ask. What is your average list to sell price? So if you're listing a house at, say, $400,000, what is your average that you sell that house at? Is it at that full list price? Is it more? Is it less? This gives you a little bit of a look inside of their negotiating power. Are they negotiating more times than not for full list price of the houses? Are they getting more for their clients on their house? This can really help prove your listing agent's negotiation skills. In the Syracuse market, we have a lack of inventory and a lot of buyers, so that really increases the list to sell ratio. But in your market, it's always a good question to ask that real estate agent. Just a couple years ago, there was a big shakeup in the real estate industry on how you handle buyer side commission structures. And question number 4 is great to ask them because it shows you what their general understanding of the whole lawsuit is. It's probably really boring to the average consumer, but it's a really powerful lawsuit because it changed the way that agents work with buyers, in fact. Question number 4. Can you explain the new changes that happened with commission and structures around buyers agents? I think that's a great question to ask because if they're able to explain it really easily and confidently, then you know that they are really invested in the industry and then they're keeping up on industry changes. Just a few years ago, it was changed that any real estate agent that works with a buyer has to sign an agreement that says how long they're going to work together for and what their commission is. It was a whole thing that really shook up the industry. This was not something that was done in the past, and the Department of Justice really now kind of changed things up and how commission structures work for buyers agents. Now, it's probably, again, really boring for people who aren't in the industry, but if you can ask that agent across your dining room table, hey, can you explain the changes that happened just a couple of years ago? And just watch how they explain themselves. Are they confident? Are they able to explain it really easy to you? Or do they fumble over the words? Or maybe they say, huh, I don't know any changes. That would be a big red flag for me. Now, the next set of questions, we're gonna go into a little bit about like how they market the property and maybe some different technology like questions to ask them. So question number 5, do you use AI for optimizing listings and for your buyers? What I like about this question is there is a lot of AI going into all different types of industries in the world, and how real estate agents are using AI is just like how agents really got on board with any change in our industry, whether it was when the MLS went from book to internet, or when all of a sudden now we have e-signatures being met, or social media was introduced. This is a great question because it helps you understand, are the agents leveraging technology that will help really position your house in the best light possible? One of the cool things with Howard Hanna is we have a program called Real Scout, and it works with a program that is driven by AI that can help push your listing out to other Howard Hanna agents that are working with buyers that fit criteria of your particular house. So if I have a seller who has a 3-bedroom, 1.5-bath cape in North Syracuse, we'll say, when I put it on live on the MLS, and I can send it out through Real Scout to all the other agents in my company that have buyers that are registered in that program, it's just another way for me to push it in front of the agents. Maybe they saw on the MLS, but I like the fact that I can send them another message and really push it to the front of their eyes and say, hey, I think your buyer might be interested in my listing in North Syracuse. It helps really position your house and get more eyes on the property, because at the end of the day, that's what listing agents are for, right? Question number 6, and this is a big pet peeve of mine. I want you to ask the agent, do you provide high quality listing photos? Do you do layouts of the house? Do you take drone photos of the home? And do you do any video marketing, whether it's vertical videos or horizontal video? And why is that important? The first time you show a house is online. So if you have bad pictures where the agent is in the mirror in the bathroom, or their finger is in the bottom corner of the frame of the photo, it's gonna drive people away from wanting to see your house. You want your house positioned in the best light possible. If you have professional photos done of the house looks cleaner, it looks brighter, it looks nicer, it makes people want to lock in a showing. If you have a floor plan layout done with your house, this gives people the idea and the impression of what the layout is like in the house, and it's super beneficial, especially with that particular buyer who really wants the kitchen and the dining room as close together as possible. Do you do any drone photos? That's a big one, because drone photos are great to get an idea of what the lot layout is, to get an idea of what the neighborhood is, the surrounding area is. Drone photos are really good to help sell houses. In video is another very important bucket that I think is often overlooked. Like it or not, we are in an age of social media where people are looking at short form content or even longer form content on YouTube, such as this one. And having another way to market the house, whether it's not just photos, but also video, give them a live look at what it's like to walk through the house with some kind of catchy hook or something, will, again, help position your house to get in front of the most eyes as possible. Just this past year, a very good friend of mine, we listed their house in North Syracuse, and my friend and I, we were very much like emo kids back in high school, with the tight, skinny black jeans and the studded belt and the big swooshy hair. And we thought it'd be really funny that if we would do a vertical video of the house where I dressed up as an emo kid, and we bought the wig and everything, and we did a short vertical video. So my photographer and I, we spent probably about maybe 45 minutes shooting me in different areas of the house. And it was one of my listings videos that really caught fire because it was catchy, it was funny. But what is even better is the fact that I can take that video back and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, not only did we get all of these views on Zillow, we got all of these saves, we got all these hits on the MLS, but we also pushed it to 15,000 people on social media. And it's such a powerful market differentiator when you are trying to figure out an agent to use for your house. Maybe video is not important to you, but what should be really important to you in that agent is how creative and how many different ways can they spin your listing to a broader audience. They want to get more eyes on the listing. So make sure, bare minimum, that listing agent is going to pay for high quality photos and at least getting a floor plan. You could do a 3D tour where you walk through the house. Those are awesome too, but if you just have a layout of the house, I think those are the bare minimum super important things for your house. Question number 7, what is your plan B if the house doesn't sell in 21 days? Really, you could put any amount of days to it, but I love that question so much because this helps you understand what else are they going to do other than just put on the MLS, post some pictures, and hope that it's gone by the open house. For me, if a house doesn't sell within a week's time, and I know that's crazy to say, but if a house doesn't sell in a week's time, we start looking at, okay, so what other creative ways can we market? Can we do mailers? Can we do a broker's open? Can we push it in front of more agents? This is crucial because if the average day on market in your area is, say, 10 days, how are you going to know that the agent's not going to just put on the MLS and then forget about you? You want to have an agent who's prepared just in case plan A doesn't go well. A plan B is a backup just in case if it doesn't sell that first week. We all want it to sell that first week, but if it doesn't, what are you going to do to help get my house sold? Is that more open houses? Is that a broker's open? Are you going to push some more online ads through? Like, what are you going to do to position my house to sell quickly? Okay, and the last 3 questions are more about like the relationship that you'll have with that agent. Agents work in various different capacities, some working by themselves, some working with a team. Some people do an introduction and then pass you off to somebody. Sometimes it's a husband and wife team. And these questions will kind of help you understand what the relationship is going to be like when you start working with them. Okay, question number 8. Am I going to be working directly with you or another member of your team? This is good because you will be prepared in case after that first meeting you start talking to somebody else. And after you've built rapport with that person across the table from you, it might be really important to you that you're working with that person. And you want to understand, like, is there anybody else on your team that helps you with appointments if you're tied up? This way, you just understand the full support that you're going to get during the time that your house is listed. Question number 9, what's your preferred method of communication? I'm a millennial and I know I prefer text messages, where my dad's generation is very email inclined, and that is super important to understand. So asking that agent, hey, how do you want me to communicate with you, can really set you up for an effective line of communication with that agent. So this way there's no messages that get dropped or missed. Now, there's nothing wrong with asking for other references. So question number 10, which is one of my favorites, is can I speak to your 3 most recent clients? Not your 3 best, because they're only going to tell you the awesome things. 3 most recent clients, because they've newly onboarded them. They might be in the midst of trying to find a house, but also it allows you the opportunity to, if you get that agent's permission, to talk to those people and field, hey, how's the communication? How do you feel like they did when it came to listing your house? Now, interviewing multiple agents before you list your home, I've always been an advocate for, because NAR did a recent poll where about, I think it was 81% of sellers pick the first agent they talk to, which is eye-opening because agents do business so much differently between all of them. Yes, they all put it on the MLS, right? But how they market your property and what their plan of attack is completely different. You're going to be pretty much like married to this person for the next 4 to 6 months, depending on how the transaction goes, sometimes even longer. And understanding who that person is and how they work is super important to you having a comfortable experience with the home selling process. People sell or buy once every 7 to 10 years, depending on their circumstances, and real estate agents do this many times, many years. So understanding what's important to you and the values that are really important to you will help you connect with an agent that is really listening and advocating for your best interests. So whether you use all 10 questions or 5 of your own that aren't on the list, I think being prepared is never a bad thing. The best question you can ask from this whole entire list is, do you provide high quality listing photos, videos, layouts, drone photos? These are the things that are going to help position your house as the top of that pile in the MLS and drive more buyers to your house. So take some time, figure out what's important to you, and interview at least 2, 3 other real estate agents in your area. You might be surprised at how different they really are. Despite the Howard Hanna survey that we did this past year that said that agents are really in a sea of sameness, I would advocate very strongly that that is not the case. We are all cut from a different cloth, and I think you will be positioned and more comfortable with the process